The Toronto Maple Leafs have just won the Stanley Cup. No. They've just made the playoffs. No. No. All right. Here's a look at the schedules of the Islanders, Toronto, and Tampa. At the bottom, I've put the number of games that teams have against franchises which are below them in the standings right now. So Toronto's in, right? Tampa's done. Islanders are done. Here's the problem. You can never count games against rivals, and there's a rivalry with Boston, definitely. You can never really count them one way or the other. Chicago, they met in the Stanley Cup final. They're trying to catch Montreal. There's Boston again. They're going to be up for the game against Toronto, Montreal, and you could qualify the Detroit games too. The thing with the Detroit game is, or the Detroit games, they have two against Detroit. Detroit is pretty much just playing out the string. Now, when you look at Toronto, in terms of actual feud games, you've got Boston, Buffalo. They're going to be mad for Florida because they don't want to lose again. Buffalo. They have to get up for the Tampa game. That's probably it. So they're all done with Montreal. They're one game away from being done with Boston. They've got two left with Buffalo. They're both in Buffalo. In Tampa, or the Islanders, I should say here. The Islanders, they have Columbus, they have the Rangers, they have Pittsburgh, all division rivals. The game against Boston, there's no telling if that'll actually be a big rivalry game. They have Nashville twice, so they haven't played Nashville yet this year. Nashville's kind of one of those teams that you kind of wonder. Philly, there's a rivalry. Jersey, there's always a rivalry. They play them twice. Yeah, so that's just going about the day-to-day life of things. Now, here's where I think Toronto's going to have a problem, is right down in here. The last 4 games they play, 3 of them are at home. Actually, no, all 4 of them are at home. So you'd say, all right, but it's a homestand against Washington, Tampa, Pittsburgh, and Columbus. In their last 4 games of the year, 3 of them are against top 5 teams in the NHL, and that other game is against a team that they're trying to hold off for that last playoff spot. I find it weird that I'm having to make this argument again, but these guys have a lot of experience. They're one of the best teams in the NHL right now. Yeah, I know. I know Stamkos is out and Johnson's hurt, and there's injuries up the yin yang. But I still say Tampa's got an inside track. And here's the thing. So I could see Tampa beating Washington. I could see Tampa beating Arizona. Obviously, I could see Tampa beating Boston too. And Detroit. Here's another Detroit. I'll say Dallas. I won't take them to beat Boston twice. I'll say that they split that. I could see them winning in Toronto because they lost at home. And we'll give them Buffalo. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I gave them 8 check marks there. Out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out of 12 games. So let's say 8 and 4. I could totally see that happening. And it can go the other way. But man, this right here, this is tough. And if they have any trouble with Buffalo, if Toronto has trouble with Buffalo, you know, there's no guarantees. I just find it weird because there's an attitude that, you know, maybe the Leafs are in their driver's seat right now, and they could be. They could be. But that schedule tells me that everybody's pretty even. And I personally think that Tampa's got a schedule that's friendly to Tampa. And I think that they're playing all the right teams. Sorry, just getting messages now. Right. But yeah, so in terms of who's going to get that last spot in the East, like to me in the West, I think St. Louis now is pulling away. I think we can safely say St. Louis. The funny thing is, um, Boston loses a game and suddenly it's, well, Boston's still in play too. I don't think they are. I don't. And the funny part is, while everybody's arguing about Tampa or Toronto, the Islanders could get in and get that. That's not an impossible schedule. There's no really long jaunts. Like they've got the 4-game road trip, which goes through Buffalo, Nashville, Carolina, New Jersey. Those are all winnable games. Those are 4 winnable games, while Toronto's at home against some very tough opposition who are trying to secure first, second, third in their division. And they're all fighting amongst themselves. So, you know, if I'm handicapping, I'm still saying it's Tampa's. But any of the 3 could take it. Washington wants Toronto. You want the young, inexperienced team. Because injuries will always happen in the playoffs. And between the 3 teams, Tampa's already shown they have depth. Braden Point has been playing fantastic for them. He's played fantastic for them to the point that they could move one of their established centers in the offseason. They could move one of their established centers, say, to, I don't know, Vegas. Get themselves some cap space to sign some of the guys they're looking to sign and keep. Maybe get a blue liner back. Tampa has a lot of things they can do right now with what's gone on. So, yeah, the injuries hurt. But Tampa, with Steve Yzerman at the helm, will always have prospects ready to step in and contribute. Tampa and Pittsburgh are 2 teams that are always able to do that. It is kind of frightening to think of just how well stocked these teams are now and for the future. I mean, even in this future watch, I'm going to truck it out again. For Tampa, they've got Libor Hajek in here, or Hajek. Anthony Cirelli, who's in Erie. Slater Cuckoo's still in here. I'm not sure about Cuckoo. And they got Taylor Radish, of course. Fans in Erie know about Taylor Radish. Brett Howden they have at 5th. Adam Ernie's at 8th. Ernie's been playing for Tampa, and he's been playing the physical on the borderline of being dirty game, which is his game. So yeah, Tampa's in good shape, and of course Pittsburgh's always in good shape. Pittsburgh, Daniel Sprong, Jake Gensel, Derek Pouliot, Tristan Jarry, Philip Gustafsson, Oscar Sundqvist, Casper Bjorkvist, Dominic Simon, Connor Hall, Jeff Taylor, blah, blah, blah. Pittsburgh rocks because Pittsburgh signed another NCAA free agent with Aston Reese. The rich get richer. Toronto has tremendous depth, but let's say Bozak gets hurt. Bozak and Ben Riemsdyk get hurt. Let's just say Bozak and Ben Riemsdyk. I'm using them as an example. That's your leadership. That's your veteran leadership. And the guys you're going to call up, and you can call up some very good players right now for the Marlies who are capable of delivering at an NHL level. The experience isn't there, and the Leafs get swamped pretty quick. The Islanders are kind of in between. The Islanders have both. They have both youth, but I don't know that I like the prospects they'd have to bring up if players got hurt. I like Pulock. I'm not sure why he's not a regular yet, but you know, the Islanders have gone on a pretty good run. I think the other thing too to consider with Tampa is they were dead and buried at the trade deadline. They were done. They sold at the deadline. They sold at the deadline, and now they're 1 point out of the playoffs. It's crazy. Getting rid of Valtteri Filppula helped. The funny thing is, and I heard it said the other day that, well, they traded out Filppula and they didn't know this was going to happen. And I'm thinking, they knew what they were doing. Filppula is a guy who they're able to replace from within. I would rather have Braden Point right now than Valtteri Filppula. And we'll see how it turns out. Anyways, let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Um, I, I, I honestly still think it's Tampa's spot. I think the fact that Tampa's gone from 5 points back to 1 point back, the fact that Toronto is okay, but that 7-2 loss in Florida, that's worrying. That was the old Leafs. And I know they came out and beat Tampa, and now they're playing Chicago and then Boston and then Columbus. See, to me, they can lose all 3 of those games. And it's not a bad thing. I think if Leafs fans are all geared up now that this is the season, then you're in trouble. You're in trouble. Because it's not the season for the Leafs. Not yet. They're going to be a very good team. They're not there yet. They have a lot of very good pieces, but that blue line has to get fixed. It has to get fixed, and it has to be a major revamp. And they're probably going to have to use their depth at forward, their prospects at forward, to patch that up and fix it. Freddie Anderson's not the problem. Anderson's stats have not been stellar, but Anderson is a very good goaltender. He just hasn't had the defense in front of him to stem the tide certain nights. So we'll see what happens. But again, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. And it's Friday night. I work tomorrow, so we will have time to discuss things and look at some hockey games that are going on and some standing stuff as well. I was kind of happy to see Dallas beat Vancouver last night, not because I relish Vancouver losing, but because I'd like to see them get a #1 draft pick for a change. And I'm going to talk about their drafting next.